This is Money Guide with Mary Sterk from Sterk Financial Services. Now, here's Mary Sterk.
Welcome to Money Guide with Mary Sterk. I am founding partner and CEO Mary Sterk, and with me today we have partner Julie Chadwick, and she is also an advisor in our office.
Hey everybody, glad to be here today with you, Mary.
Well, we are glad that you're here with us too, because you have a lot of expertise for a certain type of person, and today we're going to be talking to business owners and farmers. And Julie, you come from a farm background, so this is right up your alley, isn't it?
It sure is. Living in rural Nebraska, growing up on a farm. My parents had a farm, and so very familiar with it. And a lot of my clients have farmers, are farmers that we talk about and help out a lot.
Yeah. So one of the best ways to build wealth for your family is having ownership in some type of business, and certainly a farming operation is a business. And so we want to talk a little bit today about how some of the changes inside the Big Beautiful Bill specifically are going to impact business owners, farmers, and then a few strategies that you can think about, maybe talk to your CPA or your attorney about to see if they might be helpful for you. But boy, this Big Beautiful Bill, this is a big, big bill, isn't it, Julie?
Right. It is. And before we get started, I just want to clarify that because it is such a big bill, there's so many different components in it. We're not going to try and cover everything. This would take way too long. We're going to cover a couple topics like Mary talked about. And we just want you to know that we are not CPAs. We always want you to consult with your tax advisor and tax people to make sure you're getting the best idea for you. We're just going to today talk about some highlights, some key highlights, and some tips and strategies that will help you out in your business adventures.
Awesome. Thank you, Julie. So let's talk about the one that I think is kind of a really big deal for people, especially since they can already use it this year and you could use it before the end of the year. And that's this change in what's called bonus depreciation. So,
Right.
Julie, I'm sure that your farm family has used it. A lot of business owners have used it, but the 179 deduction is one of the things that we're talking about with this. So explain to us a little bit about, what is this 179 deduction? How does this bonus depreciation work?
Great question, Mary. Section 179 is a provision that the U.S. tax code allows businesses, including farmers, to elect to deduct the full cost of certain qualifying properties like equipment or machinery. Okay. So they get a choice to be able to use that or a different option, but now they get to the section 179 allows farmers to accelerate that deduction, improving cash flow.
Yeah. So it used to be that the most that you could do was 1.25 million in any 1 year. Okay. Right. And that was starting to phase out. So with law changes and things like that, we were starting to see that come down and maybe go away and things like that. The really great news is that the new Big Beautiful Bill restored 100% deduction for things and increased it to $2.5 million.
And it also made it permanent, which is super exciting.
Yeah, I love the word permanent, but unfortunately, in our political times, I'm pretty sure permanent means until the next administration.
Right. Yeah.
So we'll see how long permanent really is. But permanent would mean that we're not going to have to go back and forth with law changes and wondering how they're going to be until somebody actively changes it. It's going to be this way. So that's kind of an awesome piece of this.
Yep.
So basically, what this is saying is that if you have tangible personal property that you're going to purchase for your business or farm, instead of being able to deduct a piece of it each year over 20 years, which is sometimes over 15, sometimes over 20, that's the way depreciation has been, you get to do it all in 1 year. And what's really fabulous about that is that means it can significantly bring down your taxable income if you have a big purchase that you make.
Right. So this can be really useful in years when you have strong income, when you want to offset it with those large deductions.
Exactly. Now, one of the things about the Big Beautiful Bill is that all the different provisions come into play at all different times. Some of them start this year, some next year, some not for a few years, some of them end after a few years. It's very, very confusing as to what to know about this. But the main thing is that if this tangible personal property was put into service after January 19th of 2025, then you get to take the deduction. So anything you've bought since January 19th, that is game on for being able to use this bonus depreciation.
Now, why they picked January 19th, we don't really know why, but hey, you know what? It's always just to make sure you're paying attention.
Exactly. Okay, so some people want to know, well, what is tangible personal property mean? And essentially it means it's physical, right? It's something you can touch, something you can feel,
Right.
something that you can move it. Move
Yes.
it around. You can distribute it out, things like that. So we're talking about equipment, machinery, supplies, vehicles, things like that. And, some business owners aren't necessarily in the farm or kind of, ag business. It already also some types of computer software will actually qualify for that. If you're a filmmaker or in television or live theatrical production, some of your things that weren't able to be deducted this way before are now able to be. So it's interesting to see that they've actually kind of widened the scope of what it is a little bit too. So it gives more
Right.
people an opportunity to claim that deduction.
Correct.
So now the thing to know about this is you have to spend the money before the end of the year. So
That's
get
the
your
big thing. Yep.
checkbooks, make your purchases and things like that. Okay, so that's kind of what we wanted to talk about in terms of the overall bonus depreciation, bonus deduction, and things like that. But I want to keep on the topic of business owners and farmers because, Julie, you've seen this dozens of times with farm families that we've helped as clients and things like that. When a farm is passed down from a person to the next generation, what happens tax-wise with that?
They're going to get the step up in the benefits, right? So if someone passes away and the land is transferred over, they're going to get a step up in basis of, for instance, the land and the value of it, which really helps people out. So a lot of times in our conversations with clients and farmers in particular, they might be saying, we want to start gifting now to our kids and that type of thing. Okay. And sometimes that can be a great idea. But it also just depends on their specific situation because you might want to wait and maybe transition that at death too to take advantage of that step up in basis to help in taxes as well.
So when you say a step up in basis, can you give me a more concrete example? Let's say that the farm was purchased for $100,000 20 years ago, and now when the farmer passes away, it's worth $2 million. What happens tax-wise?
So normally if during their life, they're going to transition that over to their family members, they're going to have to pay that difference from what their original cost was to what the current today's value is. And so that's going to be a huge tax liability to the person. And usually it's their family members that they want to pass it to. Okay. So that's a big, big, big tax bill.
So if they sell it while they're alive, the gain is taxable, is what you're saying.
Correct. Yes. Anything from the difference from what the original purchase price was. Right.
So what happens when you die?
When you die, they receive the assets at today's value. So it eliminates that gain. Okay. So they'll get it at today's value and there's zero taxes on that, which is awesome.
Yeah. So anytime we hear the word legally, there's zero taxes, I'm all in for that kind of planning.
Right. Yeah. It's a huge asset. And sometimes that's the best benefit for people to be able to wait for that transition. Sometimes people choose to look at gifting strategies where they still want to do something during their life. And so we're going to talk about that too.
Yeah. So there's an old adage that says it's best to die with the farm. That's because of these tax laws, right? Where you can avoid all of this taxable gain if when you die is when you pass down the land. Or, similar with business ownership and things like that. So one of the things that we're seeing though is that with farms consolidating, businesses getting bigger and things like that, we're starting to see values in terms of these businesses become incredibly significant.
Right.
And so one of the things that I want to share with you is a couple of pieces about how estate tax works connected with this, and then also a strategy that could be valuable for some people called a family limited partnership. So we're just going to talk about those in just a bit.
Congratulations to Mary Sterk and the team at Sterk Financial for earning a spot on multiple Forbes lists for 8 years running, including the 2025 Forbes Best in State Wealth Advisors and 2025 Forbes Top Women Wealth Advisors Best in State.
One of the big things that people were worried about at the beginning of this year was that the estate tax laws were going to revert back to what they were a number of years ago. But the good news is that the estate tax laws got updated, and they are also something that has been made permanent. So the really great thing is that in 2026, if you're a single person, you're going to have a $15 million exemption. And if you're married, you're going to have a $30 million exemption. Now, what does exemption mean? Exemption basically means that it's like a credit. So your first 15 million if you're single, first 30 million if you're married, that doesn't count towards estate taxes. You're not going to owe federal estate taxes on them. And so for most people, this isn't going to be a big issue, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So for the average listener out there, probably not a big issue. But if you're one of those people that does in fact affect, there are some interesting strategies out there. And if you're a business owner or a farm family, then a family limited partnership could be something that is especially effective for you. It comes with some risks. There's
Right.
pros and cons to it, so it's not for everybody. But Julie, tell our listeners a little bit about what exactly a family limited partnership or an FLP, what is that?
Right. An FLP or family limited partnership is a legal business structure that allows family members to kind of pool assets and manage them collectively. So in essence, it allows them to own and manage and transfer assets like farm, like, the farm, real estates, or
Okay.
different investments in a really structured way.
Okay. So the whole goal of this is to be able to pass it down to future generations in the most efficient, least taxable way, right? That's kind of
Correct.
the goal of what we're talking about.
Correct.
So one of the things that's interesting about family limited partnerships is how the actual partner piece of it works. So share with us about how that works.
Right. So there is the formation of the partnership. So first there is, we've got a general partner who typically is the family member who manages everything, right? They do the operations, kind of make all the decisions. And then the limited partners are the other family members. They hold financial interests, but really don't have any kind of management authority. Okay. So it's still being controlled, let's say by, the original family members, but they're have a strategy to be able to bring the rest of family members into it. And then it operates as a business, right? It's requiring certain management. There's, record keeping, all of that. Those are the real big important things, but there's usually just the general partner and the limited partner.
Perfect. Okay. So kind of think through it this way. Let's say mom and dad, you own the farm and you have 5 kids and you want to have the kids have some value in this farm while they're alive, or you're trying to reduce the value of your estate, stay under these estate tax limits. You could form a family limited partnership where mom and dad, or let's just say dad, is the general partner who's the one making all the decisions and running the business actively. And the kids, or maybe mom and the kids, are all limited partners. They don't have any authority over how to control the interest or do things with it, but they do share in some of the value of it. They'll share in some of the income of it. And it's called family limited partnership because it's
Right.
limited authority for those non-main partners, basically.
Right. So a lot of times this is another solution that we can help our clients with, because I was just talking previously about, keeping the farm to death and then transferring it at death. This allows you to kind of start that transition again while you're alive. You still have the ownership, and there's not that tax situation where they're going to have that gain, the taxable on the gains, because you still own the farm.
Now, one of the pieces of beauty about a family limited partnership is this discounting effect that can happen with it. So because someone isn't a general partner, they're a limited partner, then the IRS allows you to discount the value of what shares they own. So now this is just an example for illustrative purposes. I'm not saying this is exactly how it works, but let's just say that you had a $10 million operation and you want to move $1 million of it to the limited partners.
Mm-hmm.
Normally you would pay taxes on maybe the gift, or you'd have to use some of your exclusion while you're alive to give them this gift of $1 million. But in an FLP, they can be discounted. So that $1 million that you're passing to the next generation, maybe the IRS is only looking at it like it's a $500,000 gift because it's discounted due to the fact that they have limited control over it. So if what we're trying to do is take a big pile of money and we're trying to get it to the next generation with the least amount of taxes and the most efficiency on it, if we can discount the value and give more that way, this is a potential fabulous idea.
Yeah. It's an awesome way to be able to maintain that control, but bring in the family members. A lot of times in family members, they have certain family members that are interested in, taking over the farm or continuing it. And then they might have some siblings or children that aren't interested in it. So it still gives them the opportunity to participate in your legacy.
Yeah, exactly. And also if you're trying to give children income producing property, this can be a way to help them get some of the income off of your existing business, because as a limited partner, whatever share they have in the business, they're entitled to a share of those profits as well. So dad, you still get to manage everything. Kids get to have some income. You've discounted the value of the asset. You've helped your estate planning overall. So this is why an FLP can make sense for some things. Now, here's the kicker though. It's not for everyone. And the reason that it's not for everyone is this. When you pass away, Dad, we're talking to you. When Dad passes away, you are going to get a step up in basis on your share of the FLP, but there's not going to be a step up in basis of taxes on everything that the limited partners own. They're going to maintain the basis of what it is. So if dad just died and then gave the farmland to kids, then the kids get a step up in basis on all of it and pay no taxes on any of the gain. If you do the FLP, you've reduced your estate, you've done a whole lot of different things, but you're only going to get a step up in basis on a deceased person's share. So there is kind of some give and take in terms of whether or not it makes sense tax-wise to do it.
Right. So they've already received that discounted, gift tax value, basically. And so they're not going to get the other full step up.
Yeah. Now, one of the other nice things that an FLP does is it protects your assets. So when you think about asset protection, if someone's going to sue you, that's one thing. But now your assets are inside of a partnership and they don't belong to the individual partners. They belong to the partnership. So somebody would have to sue the whole partnership versus just sue you individually. So there's a big difference in terms of asset protection of what all is allowed with that. So are these easy to set up, Julie?
They're pretty easy to set up. They are complex, and we do work with your team and your CPA and your tax people. So we work with all that, but it is definitely something we can help you set up.
Yeah. And the last thing I would say is just be careful, because when you enter into an FLP, you do decrease your liquidity. So you can't easily sell it when you have multiple partners. It's a little bit of a different story than somebody just deciding they're going to sell their business or deciding they're going to sell their farm. It adds some complexity that way too.
Exactly.
Okay, so hopefully that's given you something to think about in terms of ways to consider the new bonus depreciation from the Big Beautiful Bill, ways to consider potentially wrapping in an FLP into the whole piece of the puzzle if you're above that new estate tax limit, and just in general, giving some business owners or farmers some good things to think about when it comes to efficiently managing their estates and taxes.
Right. Anytime there's opportunities for us to help our clients keep their assets, in their pocket and be able to keep the most value in that, that's what we're open to. And so because this Big Beautiful Bill is so big and complex, we're trying to help you out with a few strategies and tips and tricks to maybe get you thinking about it and asking those questions.
Beautiful. All right. Well, thank you so much, Julie.
Thanks, Mary, for having me today.
Sterk Financial Services celebrated 20 years in 2024. The views expressed are not necessarily the opinion of your audio provider and should not be construed directly or indirectly as an offer to buy or sell any securities or services mentioned herein. Investing is subject to risks, including loss of principal invested. Past performance is not a guarantee of future results. No strategy can ensure a profit nor protect against loss. Please note that individual situations can vary. Therefore, the information should only be relied upon when coordinated with individual professional advice. Securities and investment advisory services offered through Osaic Wealth, Inc., member FINRA SIPC. Insurance offered through Sterk Financial Services, which is not affiliated with Osaic Wealth. Osaic Wealth is separately owned, and other entities and/or marketing names, products, or services referenced here are independent of Osaic Wealth. The rankings for the Forbes Best in State Wealth Advisors list by Shook Research is based on due diligence meetings to evaluate each advisor qualitatively, a major component of a ranking algorithm that includes client retention, industry experience, review of compliance records, firm nominations, and quantitative criteria, including assets under management and review generated for their firms. The Forbes ranking of America's top women wealth advisors is based on an algorithm of qualitative and quantitative data, rating thousands of wealth advisors with a minimum of 7 years of experience and weighing factors like revenue trends, assets under management, compliance records, industry experience, and best practices learned through telephone and in-person interviews. There is no fee in exchange for rankings. Forbes is a trademark of Forbes Media LLC. All rights reserved. Rankings and recognition from Forbes, Shook Research are no guarantee of future investment success and do not ensure that a current or prospective client will experience a higher level of performance results, and such rankings should not be construed as an endorsement of the advisor.